Hit us
Yeah.
with it.
So
What
let me
happened?
tell you my story. Let me tell you, it's a doozy. So I'm going to take you back. So right now I'm 51. I was 45 at the time, like right, when midlife is really cranking. And I found myself literally laying on the bathroom floor, bawling my eyes out. I was going through my divorce. I had chronic illness. I had black mold toxicity, Lyme disease. I had panic attacks, anxiety, depression. Did I say anxiety already? My brother just died. He died at the age of 49 years old. Unfortunately, I watched him die. So that was a pretty traumatic event. I was unemployed. I'd been in business with my husband for 20 years. So I had
Wow.
built my whole life, for the last 20 years around that. I had over 150 grand in debt. So yeah, I was pretty freaking miserable. And I had an empty nest. My youngest son was just about out of the nest. And it was kind of one of those moments like, now what? Who am I? What am I going to do now? And it was so overwhelming to me to where it was just paralyzing. Like, where do I even start? Like, with any of it? And then, of course, emotionally, I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like trying to do anything to make my life better. And then as I'm sitting there, I have this vision of driving an RV across the country. And it was something I'd always wanted to do. And I was like, okay, that's a crazy vision. Like, you have no money, Wendy. You don't have a job. You certainly can't buy some fancy RV. This is not going to happen. But then I was like, I'm just going to entertain the idea. But what was cool about this vision, it wasn't so much the RV. It was the woman behind the wheel. And it was envisioning myself as a new Wendy, like the Wendy that I always truly wanted to be, but that I got so like underneath all of the pain and the even just raising kids and the house in the burbs and mowing the yard and paying the bills and all that stuff, like Wendy was completely lost. And so when I envisioned this new woman driving across the country with the windows down and cranking up the music and singing and watching like the desert, sunset. And I was just like, oh, I want her. It wasn't so much like a new place or a new thing. It was just like, I want to feel good again. And so then I thought, you know what? I've got to start somewhere. And actually, I love quotes. So I had quotes all over my house. And there was a little quote in my bathroom. And it was this little pink elephant. And it said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I was like, fudge, I need to take a step, like somewhere, somehow. And so I decided, well, number one, I got to get a job. That was number one. So I went online, and within a day, I hired one of those companies to create a resume. I didn't even have a resume because I'd been self-employed for so long. And I sent my resume out all over the world. I was like, I'm willing to go anywhere. I don't care. Like, we're going to make this happen. But it was exciting. Just taking that one step was very liberating. Like, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And I got a job offer in Chicago selling homes, and which I'd never sold houses before. There's like new construction houses. And they offered me the job. I was like, what the heck? I'll go for it. So 4 weeks later, I move out of my house. I'm driving a U-Haul from Virginia to Chicago. And this is crazy, within a year, this goes to show the power of determination. And if you keep focused on your goal and your dream, like the stars just align, everything falls into place. It's crazy. But you have to believe in yourself too, of course, and have faith in yourself. But within a year, I went from making $0 to $500,000 and paid off all that debt. I know, paid off all that debt. And then while I was working my day job, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is just temporary. This is just temporary. And I do want to make a point about that. Sometimes you're going to have to do some things while you're going through your divorce, or maybe after the divorce, that remind yourself it's temporary. You might have to like,
one of my friends
yeah,
says, I can do anything for a year. Like,
yeah,
think
yes,
about what that next step is that
yeah,
you need to make to move forward. And maybe it is taking a crap job that you don't really want to do, but tell yourself, I can do this for a year. And what's the next job after that?
yes. And even before I had got to that point, I had lived, my husband lived upstairs. I lived in the basement. It's temporary. I kept reminding myself, it's temporary. It's temporary. I wanted to be in the basement. It was a walkout basement, at least. I could walk out, but it's temporary, and you have to keep reminding yourself, like, this is just for right now. It's a stepping stone. This job is a stepping stone. Like, this place is a stepping stone. It's fine. Like, you keep focused on wherever you're wanting to go. And I'll have to tell you, though, too, when I envisioned that new woman driving that RV across the country, I didn't wait to become that woman. I stepped into the shoes of that woman that day. I was like, I'm going to I journaled. I journaled what she would wear every day. How would she walk into a room? How would she eat? What, would she do yoga? Or literally to the detail. And so that is so important to think, like, you will change whether you like it or not. You will evolve through your divorce. You're either going to get better or you're going to get bitter.
Right.
I choose better, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
know, I'm not a life coach type of person, but I know the power of mindset and the messages that we
Yes.
send to ourselves. Telling
Yep.
yourself that you're a loser and you're broke and you're never going to get out of this hole will put you in a frame of mind that is so detrimental versus telling yourself, I don't know how, but I am a winner and I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to take a step today. Every single day, I'm going to take a step towards getting better. It does work. I don't care how woo-woo it sounds to anyone because I'm not a woo-woo person, but it works.
Mm-hmm. I always say your mind is either your best friend or your worst enemy, your biggest cheerleader or your worst critic. And you decide. Nobody else gets to decide but you. And then you pay attention to the ticker tape of thoughts going across in your mind. And if you get quiet, you don't have to sit in meditation for hours. You're just paying attention to those thoughts. And thoughts are everything. Change your thoughts, you change your world. Change your thoughts, you change your life. Everything starts with the thought. But if you have a negative, crappy thought, you need to replace it with a good thought. And actually, I interviewed someone the other day and she goes, I always double it up. Like, one negative thought and you get two positive thoughts. I was like, I like that.
Nice.
Double up on it,
Well, let me ask you a couple questions about your divorce, because I know that there was something that was holding you back from getting divorced. What was that?
Me. Yeah, I was kind of like, actually, I had a decent divorce. I did not have a nasty divorce. I went into it going, you know what? I've had so much trauma in my life. And I'm like, I can't handle any more trauma. I'm like, I want to get through this divorce and I want to move on with my life. I want him to move on with his life, which we have. But I kept making excuses like, I should probably stay. Like, I have a nice home in the burbs. And is it really that bad? But Wendy couldn't really shine in this marriage. He was actually he's a great guy. He's a really great guy, but he wasn't for Wendy. And in order for Wendy to be Wendy, I could not be with him anymore.
Okay.
So it was a hard decision because it's not like it was some nasty, horrible thing. And, it's like, that's an easy way to be like, so long, but it was comfy. And a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. And I definitely wasn't growing. I was not becoming the woman that I knew I could be in life.
So you got a new best friend during your divorce, I understand. And I feel like I already know what you're going to tell me for this one, but who became your best friend during your divorce?
Me.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, it was totally me. Yeah, and kind of going back to like the thoughts, and I had to become my own best friend. And even though I had a pretty decent support system, I had a couple of really good friends and my Aunt Annie, and that helped me to get through it. I had a good therapist, but I had to learn to become my own coach, my own therapist, my own cheerleader. And I still do. If I'm having a down day, then I have to tell myself, girl, pull up your bootstraps, let's
Right?
go. Like, it's gonna be all right. Like, I now have learned to speak kind words to me. Like, yes, I love. Yeah, I got a divorce and I married myself, basically. I knew my dream was to have my own show. I didn't know what capacity, what I was going to talk about, but I was like, I want my own show and I can do my own show on the road. I was like, this will be perfect.
Yes.
So then, I finally had enough money to put a down payment on this RV. And I knew exactly which RV that I wanted. And so I was working on this podcast, I hadn't launched yet, but then ordered the RV in Nashville, Tennessee. I drove down there on a Friday, took the day off from work. I drove it back on Sunday, and Monday morning I walked in and I quit my job. I was like, bye. I got to go. But you know what the coolest thing is? My boss had said, he goes, you know what? He goes, you go be Wendy. And it was like the greatest thing like someone could say. He's like he knew. Like, I hadn't had a chance to really be Wendy maybe not my entire life, but majority of my life. So, yeah. And then took off across the country and started the show. I had two choices, right? Like, I either get up and do something about it or I stay miserable. And honestly, like, staying miserable was more effort. That was harder than actually like getting up, getting a job, moving to Chicago. That was easy compared to staying in a miserable, depressed state. And now I know what it's like to be that depressed and that miserable that I will never go back there. Now, like, if I feel that it's coming back, then I'm like, oh, no. We are not going back there. Like, we're going to go do something about this and you are going to move on in your life. Like, no. So it's good. I'm actually grateful for the depression. I'm grateful for the divorce. I'm grateful for all of that. And it may not be like the gratitude will not come right away, but later on in life, it'll come. And it's just like Steve Jobs said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backwards. So a few years from now, you will look back and be like, oh, okay, ... That's got it.
Right.
But yeah, become your own best friend and start dreaming again. I think as adults, we forget to dream.